All right, you're listening to Apostates on the Fringe, a leftist atheist podcast sponsored by the Atheist Society of Knoxville. We're your hosts. I'm Dustin.
I'm Alistair.
And I'm Sam.
And you guys are like dead right now.
I was waiting for Sam to do it. Apparently, Sam was waiting for me to do it.
I'm gonna start pointing fingers and cueing you guys. What are you drinking this time?
I got the L chocolate milkshake.
Oh yeah, is that your last one?
Yeah.
That was pretty good because you haven't had that one in a while.
I only bought 4 of them, but I always drink it with another beer.
Is it a high grav or?
That one is. The other one I got is it not?
Right.
Yeah, we can't drink 2 high gravs doing this show. We're not going to leave when we're done.
What do you
I'm drinking the same shit that's been in your refrigerator for over a month now.
Thanks for taking up all that space. I have a little section in my refrigerator for just podcast beer because of you guys, so which stays there for the entire month.
Mine's cleared out now.
Is it finally? Sam, you have quite a bit left in there.
one more week.
Yeah, I have I have the Gaelic Ale from the Highland Brewing Company in Asheville, North Carolina. It's pretty good. I haven't had it before. I've had their porter, their oatmeal porter, which is pretty good. So this is the first time I've had this one. It's pretty good.
I think Highland was some of the first beer I ever had when I went to a bar.
Oh, was it? I think so. Blue Moon was probably mine because I'd never really liked Bud Light or.
Yeah, I think I did stick with that for a while as I had to work my way into the acquired taste of beer when I was that young.
So, I didn't drink. I didn't have the taste of beer. I didn't enjoy beer when I was young at all. Not even a little.
Because you were probably drinking Miller Lite and shit like that, and that I didn't like that shit.
I would have drank what my parents had, and they were cheap. They drink cheap beer.
Yeah.
So yeah, hard pass.
I think the first beer that I was given that I'm like, this shit is really fucking good was a Sierra Nevada beer.
Oh yeah. Haven't had those.
Really?
No, I haven't.
It's California-based beer, I believe.
So, guys, welcome back to the studio, because it was my fault that we couldn't record last week. So, we have some of our listeners would have known if they listened to us early on when we had some audio things going on that we have animals that cause us woes throughout the time. And so we have a boxer that we got neutered last Wednesday, and there were some unforeseen consequences. We had to have the big e-collar on him. It's a big-ass satellite dish cone to keep him from licking his shit. And so that night, we tried to put him in his crate. Well, this thing is the e-collar on him is fucking huge. So when he got in there, he couldn't turn around. So he freaked the fuck out. So we knew that we couldn't leave him in the crate in the garage, because otherwise he'll just be tearing ass in here and knocking mics over, things like that. And we couldn't leave him outside because he's not supposed to be able to run or jump for 5 to 7 days afterwards. And if you guys know anything about boxers, they are wild asses, especially him. He's wild as fuck.
He's so dumb. I love him.
So we don't have Stephanie with us tonight to listen in, so we may have a little bit of
fact check us.
She can't fact check us, and then she won't be able to tell if we're turning our heads and if we're having audio issues. Tino may knock on our door, so I apologize. I'll try to edit out as much as I can. But in any event, we're back, and I'm excited to be back here to talk about because there's a lot of stuff to laugh about this week.
Can I introduce the first one?
Go ahead. What do you want?
I have to start it off with. I got my Facebook account back.
Did you?
I got out of jail last Friday, and I am now back in jail for another 30 days.
Your account is just flagged. They have a flag on your account, and they're like, whatever you post, ban it. It doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah,
what I got banned for this time, I posted a picture of the Patriot Front boys from Philadelphia on their little flash mob protest that they had. But it had a picture of them being chased off by people, and it had Pornhub on it with the caption, 22 Patriot Front boys in a Penske truck get fucked in Philly. and
that got you banned?
Facebook considers that soliciting for sex, and I know, seeing Proud Boys get chased at, not Proud Boy, Patriot Fronts, fascists either way, seeing fascists get chased out of a city is a turn-on. I understand this, but I was not soliciting sex at the time.
You appealed, and they still upheld that, didn't they?
They did.
They probably didn't even go to a real person. It probably just went through another algorithm.
I don't know what it is. I think they get so many reports on me that when they get something that kind of,
was that in Hip Nashville or just on your page?
I think I posted it in Hip Nashville.
You got to stop doing the controversial shit in Hip Nashville because they all all
you need
target
to only do that on your alt account.
Because I know it's like somebody messages their friends, probably like they brigaded one of your posts to laugh react it. Like they probably do the same thing to report your shit because like you just got out of jail, damn it.
It wasn't even a full week.
You poor thing. They hate your account so much.
Well,
but that was so funny.
The thing is I think because there's so many things I post that absolutely do not violate any standards or don't come close to it, except it pisses people off, and they get so many reports on me that when something is even like close to that line, they're like, we're taking it down. We don't care. You probably did something we didn't catch, and you probably deserve this.
You've had so many flags against you. Like, how many bans is this, by the way?
I have last year, because the first, 3 years I had that account were really, it was fine. And then this year, they just started, It's ever since that fucking abortion post in Hip Nashville that I've had issues with my account.
That was so good. Yeah, I have never caught a ban. I don't post I post word things. I don't really post the memes but you probably saw the meme on Facebook. Did you not?
Yeah, I did.
You saw the meme on Facebook, and then you just shared that, or
no? That one actually may have been sent to my inbox.
Okay.
But either way, a lot of
it's
shit.
Really not. It's really not that offensive to catch a ban. That is the dumbest thing. But so essentially, 150 to 200 of these Patriot Front.
It was not that fucking many. The
not
number
on the video.
Kept going up every time there was an article written about it. It started out with 50. Then they started saying, well, it was 100. Then the next article comes out 150. We won't know until we get the police report from that night, which I know there are people who are trying to get it. But yeah, though. So the I think his name's Thomas Russo, is the leader of Patriot Front, and he goes to these cities and does these flash mob protests.
Yeah, because none of these people were from Philly. Not a single one.
No, none of them are at all. So, but what he doesn't tell these motherfuckers where they're going because he doesn't want it leaked. He doesn't want to counter protest, which is a pretty pussy thing to do, in my opinion.
Not that it mattered in this case, as we'll go to in a second.
But so. They show up in these Penske trucks, and what I want to know is, do they travel the whole way? How did they get from the original meeting place, or did they all meet in the city? Because then they'd be able to tell people we're heading to Philadelphia. But if they're traveling this whole way in a fucking Penske truck, who the fuck, period, gets in vehicles with somebody who won't even tell them where they're going?
Fascists? I don't know.
It's just, but yeah. But anyway, they got these Penske trucks. Apparently, right now it's cheaper to rent a moving truck than it is car rentals. Car rentals
are
hard to get.
In the back with a bunch of sweaty man children.
They had 3 Penske trucks, all of these men huddled in. They start marching down the road with their fucking flags, shouting some "Reclaim America."
And the election was stolen.
Yeah, and the Philadelphia is not putting up with that shit, so they got chased out of fucking Philly.
The best part, the funniest part, is that they used smoke bombs to mask their retreat.
Yes.
Ninjas? Racist ninjas?
They threw smoke bombs behind them and ran. I think there was a video and you can hear them say, "Retreat to point Alpha," or something stupid like
there's
that.
There's a video of them all backing into the back. They're holding on to each other and backing up so that they can watch their back the whole time.
Somebody watched 300 way too many fucking times. Did you see those shields they had? Those homemade fucking...
Yeah, they've been carrying those around for a while.
Wow, I can't wait until they learn about what the 300 men all did.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were real close.
It's the funniest thing because they got chased the fuck out, and without, just because no one fucking wanted them there, and no one knew they were going to be there, so it's not like it was a planned kind of protest.
No, it was that wasn't Antifa. That was
just
fucking
pissed off
random people that are saying, no,
Antifa.
we're not putting up with this shit. So after they got chased back to their Penske trucks, I guess they drove a little ways before the police pulled them over because you can't ride with people in the back of a vehicle.
They pulled them over for
that.
safety reasons.
Yeah, all of them. So they got everybody's names, and hopefully they'll be on police reports because that's public record. And
Well, it was funny because there was someone who had tweeted like, "I just came out here to, for some July 4th weekend, not to encounter Nazis down here," and they just chased them the fuck off. It was glorious.
Yeah.
So it was, hats off to Philadelphia for running the fucking Nazis off. Those guys looked weak as shit. I mean, the mask. Did you see the masks that they wore? Like they looked. Those are the weirdest fucking things they put over their faces.
And it's like everything about it shows what pussies they really are. The backing into the truck, the smoke bombs, the fact that...
The smoke bombs are so good. It's my favorite part.
I want to be at the meeting where they're like, if we need a retreat, I got smoke bombs.
And the thing is if there were 150 to 200 of them, that many people weren't chasing behind them. It wasn't a mob of people chasing them off. It was a small group of people.
It was a small group, but apparently they were not prepared to handle any kind of aggression towards them. But what do you fucking expect when you espouse this kind of hatred, this hated bigotry fucking ideas in Philadelphia of all places?
They did just like, their idols did. They surrendered.
There was I sent it to Al. I don't know if I didn't send it to you. Do you remember this? So the scene in Django where they're talking about the mask? It's like the fucking mask. I can't see shit. Yeah. I can't see shit out this thing. Someone had made a comment. It's like now we all agree that the shields were a great idea because they looked awful like the shields do. They're like, we all agree the shields were a great idea. But they said. Might say it could be done better before. Or I don't know what quote it is. Fucking I'll have to look it up. But they quoted that quote. It was so funny. Anytime I see like someone post a meme like, I'll never get vaccinated, and you click on their profile, they're just like, I suck Trump's dick. It's the same group.
It's like Fox Die for Idiots.
Yeah.
That's a deep cut for all you Metal Gear Solid fans out there.
Well, we're all stressing how the fuck we get this country back in some kind of order, because it's never really been in order. But, we're trying to figure out stressing where, going straight into fascism. And these people are literally, like, neglecting their health and killing themselves off. And it's like, situation taking care of itself.
It's like they made
natural selection, but these are just people who are fucking idiots.
I think one of them was like, it was one of those almost self-aware wolves moments where they're like, haven't you noticed that this virus seems to only be killing us?
Yeah.
They're like, it's almost like it was made that way. It's like, no, it probably has something to do with you not getting vaccinated, but okay. It's dumb, too, because Trump's vaccinated.
Yeah. And what's hilarious to me is when you get the side-by-side, the juxtaposition of the person's, like, 3 screen caps of them posting about, fuck the vaccine, fuck this, and then we're sad to say this person has died from COVID. Like, that's fucking funny to me. Like,
it's mixed emotions for me because, like, on one hand, haha.
Right.
But on the other hand, like, it saddens me that there are people that are this stupid in the world.
It really is. It's depressing.
And a lot of them have been, like, fucking brainwashed into believing that this vaccine is harmful to them. And, like, it's not their fault they're stupid enough to believe it, but also, ha-ha.
I'm going to go with mostly the ha-ha, because they're a good fascist now.
Well, what's ultimately depressing is I saw a news article last week or maybe the week prior where I'm not sure if it was Tennessee itself. It was probably just the mayor of Knox said we most likely won't reach 70% ever. And the comment section, because why do I do this? But they're like, finally, Tennessee does something good. Like, they're praising that the majority, that they won't reach that number. They're praising that people aren't taking this vaccine because they're fucking brainwashed idiots. That, like, another one today where 20 of the top researchers say that it is most likely that the virus came from an animal and not from a lab. And, of course, that comment section was just loaded with
lies, fake news.
Yeah. And I'm like, you guys are fucking, like, what evidence do you have? You're fucking Google University people right here.
So if every variant is, like, killing off about 1% of the people who catch it, we would really need about 30 more variants to get the vaccination where we need.
They're not going to get vaccinated after they get COVID. So if they survive, COVID's still out there.
And there's other strains.
They're just going to get it again. I mean, how many times is it going to take for these people to get COVID? I think my friend Zach had said that he knew somebody in his family who had it twice and then got the vaccine after the second time. So I'm sure there's some people that changed their mind after like almost dying twice.
I never had COVID and I still fucking got the vaccine.
I know,
because I trust the scientists and the science behind it. Like, I'm not a scientist. I'm not a virologist. I didn't go to school for that shit. So when I listen to people that did do that shit, I'm not going to look at a meme on Facebook and have that decide what I'm going to do with my health. I'm just not.
I don't need to nearly die to, like, do something to prevent.
Yeah, I just
dying.
It was it's too new. You're experimental rats. Like all the excuses these people give.
It's not new. They just don't understand it at all.
They don't understand that mRNA is not a new thing. In fact, they're now moving the same technology to create an influenza vaccine based off of mRNA. Like, it's cutting edge shit.
Well, they're not going to take that either.
They probably won't, because they'll see the mRNA and tie it together.
Or they're just not going to take vaccines at all, period.
They probably don't. I mean, some
of them
do.
Some of them don't. Some of them will.
Yeah, some do the flu or influenza one, even though it fucking changes every year.
But the thing
I don't understand these people. Like, it really does change every year, and so it's every vaccine, because as vaccines evolve, as influenza evolves, the vaccine has to change too.
The thing is the COVID vaccine shit has opened more eyes to the anti-vax shit in general. So people pre-COVID who got their kids vaccinated and then got all the paranoia instilled into them about this vaccine, and then started reading about other vaccines, those people now may stop their kids' vaccinations or not get future kids vaccinated.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Or, if they have no kids yet, but they were pro-vaccine, they may be anti-vaccine now. So the anti-vaccine numbers overall, I bet, are going up.
Did you see the map that showed the vaccine rates in the States?
Mm-hmm.
And if you took that map and overlaid it over education rates and even voter turnout, voter results, it's a very similar fucking map.
Right.
And that's not a mistake. That's by default. Or that's not by default. That's just by design of how it's became a political thing, and I don't understand how it's a political thing at all.
Poverty rates match up as well.
That's also very true. Well, poverty rates and low education go hand in hand anyways.
Right.
That's voting for the GOP going hand in hand with all that.
Also true.
Yeah.
Also true.
When we say the election results, we mean the Republican states are doing this shit.
Yes, the Republican states are awful, and Tennessee is now getting so bad that we're shipping fucking doses back off because they're just...
Yeah, we're pretty much done here. If you want
I think it's done. I think they're done.
I have some friends that live out west, and they had a lot harder time getting the vaccine because it was in such larger demand. So I was like, months ago, I was like, oh, no, I've already had it. They were like, oh, I can't get it yet. Like, the smart people here were lucky and could get it really easily, where people in other parts of the country, if not, especially the world, have a harder time getting what they want.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Tennessee's done. I mean, a few stragglers, maybe those who are just turning 16 will, if their parents are smart enough to encourage them to get it. I know they're probably not force them to, but by and large, I think that we're not going to hit 70%. Not in Tennessee, definitely not in Knoxville.
Well,
and this Delta variant, like we mentioned earlier, it's the largest variant in the United States, has a higher transmission rate. And they don't care. They really don't care, and it's depressing and it's disheartening for the status of this country.
The thing about this vaccine or this strain, the Delta, and why they went back to, well, not the CDC, but a lot of officials are saying that we should be wearing our mask even if we're vaccinated. They found cases of a vaccinated person got the Delta vaccine, and when they did the contact tracing, they found out they got it from their fucking vaccinated cousin or some shit who got it from their vaccinated. So it's showing that the Delta...
but they were unsymptomatic, which just leads me back to I don't care if you are not vaccinated.
But that's the thing. That's why they're suggesting that people wear masks, though. And the thing is even vaccinated people, though, could still die if they get it, if they have pre-existing conditions. And we have elderly friends who...
They have to be extremely immunocompromised. I've looked into it.
Yeah,
like, I have a friend who's a virologist. Like, you have to, like... If you have a problem with that, then it's something you're going to know about. It's not one of those things that's going to, like, sneak up on you. Like, oh, no, I didn't know I was immunocompromised. No, it's something that, you would have been dealing with your whole life.
Well, it's like...
and you wouldn't know what the problem is.
Like Carl and Alita. Carl's had a transplant. He's more at risk for things like that. But they also stay in their house 99% of the time.
But even you mentioned earlier, it's 99%, 99+% of all the deaths right now are from unvaccinated. So, because no vaccine is 100% efficient.
I've heard of people catching it and not having symptoms. I've heard, I had heard of somebody catching COVID that was vaccinated and they lost their sense of smell, but they had no other symptoms.
Right. So, by and large, even if the ones that do get it while they're being vaccinated, they're not going to be severely ill by it.
One thing you got to think of when wearing masks, though, is that children under 12 still can't get it, and this variant is affecting kids more.
Is it? I hadn't heard that.
It's having more of an effect on children.
Because I know while rare, children got sick severely, and even in some cases, I know an 8-year-old died that traveled to Hawaii. But by and large, they were all always asymptomatic, so this one is affecting the younger ones. Okay, interesting. Yeah. I did not know that. And yet, with all this information, well, they don't know this information because they're not looking up reliable sources. These people who are unvaccinated.
No, well, and
they care anyways.
Right. So this week in Trump, guys, on Wednesday, Trump announced that he was going to lead a class action lawsuit against Twitter, Facebook, and Google because they kicked him off they deplatformed him, and he's salty about it. What his supporters who were cheering this on don't realize that just like his whole election fraud campaigns, this is all just a stunt for them to donate money to him and his efforts.
Yeah.
What I hope...
really going to be able to take on the 3 largest, most...
He doesn't intend to. Yeah. I actually read so I got bored and I read the complaint, the lawsuit filed against Twitter. And it's funny because, oh my, this is the dumbest thing. I listened to a podcast called Open Arguments, and they're recording tonight, so I'll be able to hear them break down this lawsuit and how fucking stupid it is tomorrow. But I actually pulled it up and read it. They included screenshots of his Twitter, in the complaint, in the court filing. It was the silliest thing. But he never intends for this lawsuit to go forward.
Why do you say that?
Because he doesn't want to be part of discovery. He will have to be the discovery phase for that. He doesn't want to be deposed. If he has to be in a deposition under oath regarding the conversations he had with other people during that time, because they all kicked him off based on his actions on January 6th. And the insurrection that followed, they will depose him, and he will have to sit under oath. So either this will get dismissed. I'm almost betting money on this. Either it'll get dismissed outright, and he's banking on that, or he will just drop the lawsuit.
Because it's a class action, though, what I hope is a bunch of Trump supporters decide to go fucking hog wild on all 3, all the mediums or forums or whatever. And they all get banned in hopes of being able to join in on the class action lawsuit.
It's funny, he includes, so the class action, I read it, it includes some liberties group that introduced Trump on the stage when he said that our First Amendment rights are given to us by God and not the government.
Yeah.
Which is, okay. I couldn't believe I actually sat and watched a video of him speaking again. I thought I'd never have to do that again, but I did it just because... I'm a glutton for punishment, apparently, and research for this. But it listed, if I'm recalling correctly, on the complaint, any Twitter user that resided in the United States from January 1 of 2018 until now who had their accounts affected, banned or censored or things like that. So he included everyone on. No, that was Twitter.
Okay.
So I didn't read the Facebook complaint.
If there's a Facebook one, Al needs to jump on here.
I will. I will.
You would be a party to that lawsuit? Like, he knows. Like, he has to know that the First Amendment does not apply to private companies. He's trying to set them up like they act as a public town hall because he used it in his official capacity or statements as president, but that's not how it fucking works. Like, this is a private company. They all have to agree to the terms and conditions. This lawsuit, and I think he knows it, but he was proud to announce that he had Big Tobacco's lawyers as representing him on this. He's like, because they do a good job, right? I'm like, oh, you fucking idiot. And
who will even support him anymore?
Do what now?
I mean, it's a bad move for any lawyer to work with Trump.
Oh, it absolutely
it's publicity for those lawyers, though, and other fasci type will seek those out for their lawsuits and get them. Even if they lose, they're making money. They don't give a shit.
Yeah.
There are lawyers out there who know damn well that they're going to lose a case, but will take somebody's fucking money for it.
And speaking of Trump's attorneys, Giuliani lost the ability to practice not only in New York that we recorded before, but in D.C. now as well.
Oh, nice.
So,
and then speaking of New York, they just did the lawsuit against Trump.
No, they filed charges against the criminal charges.
Yeah,
against the CEO or CFO. I'm not sure. Of the Trump organization, and I think the end game is to get him to flip on Trump. And that's generally how that is. But this lawsuit is just a publicity stunt. They immediately, Trump's team put out a tweet, because he can't, saying donate now, 5-time rewards or gifts, whatever. That's all this is, just to raise money, and the supporters will eat that shit up.
So one thing to watch for with him, so after January 6th, apparently... agencies were warned about the right using Ashley Babbitt's death to cause another kind of insurrection of sorts. That kind of died down once the arrest started happening. People just fucking shut up for the most part. Mm-hmm. But you see Trump starting to get everybody riled up on that. He sent an email out that just said, who killed Ashley Babbitt. On his speech yesterday, I heard that he was talking about her, like whoever killed him, and he believes he knows who did it. So he's stoking the fire there, trying to get everybody riled up and to hunt down this officer. Apparently, the fucking right released the name that they can't prove it was this guy's, but they released somebody's information out there.
I mean, was it one of the officers in the chamber, or?
I really don't know, because all the publications I was reading about about the name being released, they won't release the name because they understand the risk that comes with that.
Oh, absolutely.
But the right wing media,
they totally made her a martyr. 100%.
But so yeah, well, they're getting all angry and over that again. Something could come from that.
Well, they're already being emboldened. I mean, hell, the fascists are being emboldened already. We saw. I mean, the Philadelphia thing is just the tip. I mean, those were pussies, but they were out in numbers.
Patriot Front has been doing that for years, though. That's not a new thing. That's just this one got a lot more publicity because they were chased out of town. But they've been doing that for a while, where they either sneak in late at night or early in the morning and do a little march, and then they leave just as quick as they came. They do everything they can to avoid confrontation. They do banner drops that way and other shit, but their whole thing, they don't want to be confronted.
What is their end game to try? I mean, I don't understand. I know we're kind of circling back to that, and we just kind of moved on to this Trump lawsuit thing. But what is their end game if they're not trying to make noise?
I mean, they do make noise by doing that.
But they have to understand that they're going to be confronted in the majority of these cities.
They don't a lot of times because people aren't expecting it, and a lot of times people are thrown off and are like, "What the fuck is this?" and don't even know how to respond to it.
I guess that would make sense.
Philly's been dealing with the shit for a while, so they're like, "Oh fuck no."
Yeah. So. So, Sam, I came across something this week that I guess you hadn't heard about yet. It's called Tennessee on Me. It's a thing that Governor Bill Lee and probably Brad Paisley, some country star or whatever. And what they did was roughly one day after the federal unemployment benefits ended in Tennessee, he offered free $250 plane vouchers.
Oh yeah, no, I did.
To the first 10,000 people that at least booked. So he's taken money away from the people who are unemployed and giving it to tourists that benefit capitalism.
Yeah, Bill Lee is a traitor. Anyone that supports him is openly a fascist.
You know what's funny is he could have taken that money and built something that would continue to generate revenue. And
I will physically fight anyone that supports Bill Lee.
It's just the stupidest thing.
It's a slap in the face to the residents of Tennessee. Mm-hmm. It's only to
the major cities.
Yeah, the major city, but not nowhere in the Tri-Cities area.
So you can't go. Is Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg considered a major city?
No.
That's one of our biggest tourist attractions.
No, it's
here.
Knoxville. Knoxville made the list. Nashville, Memphis. I don't know if Chattanooga did or not. It probably did. But yeah, no, not you're right. I mean, Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg is probably one of the largest, if not, besides Nashville.
They probably excluded that because it
generates it on its own.
Yeah, they've been going through the entire pandemic.
These Republicans better die pretty fast before.
But I mean,
next election.
His priority is to giving money to corporations, putting more money into corporations. I mean, he's got hotels working with him. He's got the two major airlines working with him for these vouchers. I'm not sure that 250 will fly anyone anywhere because of how high the airline prices are right now. I remember when they were cheap back during COVID, but now they're apparently skyrocketing.
Yeah,
again.
they are.
We're the perfect example of a libertarian state. This is fucking... This is...
It's just so funny. Like, one day after ending with $300, he's like, here, $250 for you, $250 for you, just to come to Tennessee and spend money at corporations. Fuck his constituents, right?
Tennessee's rapture from BioShock. This is the libertarian haven.
Well, they had budgeted that money for that. The budget was approved. That's the defense to it. But they didn't. Someone who was on the approval, I guess it was the Senate, maybe state Senate, said that in the future he would need to spell out exactly what he planned to do with money, because they are not really approving of this. They're like, that just doesn't make any sense. It's a dumb move.
Yeah, in terms of Tennessee's budget, $2.5 million isn't that large. But we could all agree that when the day before you've just ended the unemployment benefits for the people, to just now give that to people out of state.
What would $2.5 million do for our parks around here?
Right.
What all could you do with the state parks? You could
probably fix a bridge with that, or work on fixing it.
You can. More cleanup, add more amenities. There's a lot of things that, like the state parks or let's see, the Parthenon, is that state owned? They could have done stuff to it, it's a lot of fucking money.
Yeah, he's catching a lot. I mean, he's catching shit from, honestly, even both sides.
Is that going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back and he's going to lose his election? No. Anybody who's out of state listening to us, my neighbors are the dumbest motherfuckers on the fucking planet. That was proven last November when we were the epicenter of COVID infections. We are literally the dumbest motherfuckers around. They're going to vote for Bill Lee no matter what, and he's a fucking traitor.
Well, not only that, but they're going to forget this in a week anyways. They're not going to remember him shitting on...
Well, no,
He's got to say, Trump, Jesus, vote for me, and that's all he's got to do, because there's never... we don't even have
Marsha
anybody...
Blackburn, same thing.
The Democratic, nominees in Tennessee are nothing. They are absolutely nothing. And when someone does win around here, they're neoliberal pieces of shit like our mayor.
What's going to happen is the CDC or Fauci's going to say something and they'll forget all about it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I don't forget that I hate Bill Lee, and anyone that votes for him, I will literally punch in the face. So
Well,
don't tell me that.
Speaking of winning elections, just like Margie Taylor Greene down in Georgia, they go to certain places to run, and we came across an article I shared with you that QAnon is now their primary goal is to run for these local and small elections,
focusing on school
boards, especially school boards. Like,
and
I was joking with you that we'd watched that. I'm not sure which South Park episode it was. It was the vaccine special or the pandemic special. Probably the vaccine special, where QAnon they said we need to become teachers and teach these kids. Someone saw that episode and was like, that's a great fucking idea, and they're all running for school board.
Well, I mean, Knox County has 3 of them sitting on our school board currently.
And they represent the morons. I'm just going to praise to Satan that they're all going to catch COVID and fucking die. They're not getting vaccinated.
Patty Bounds, please get COVID.
Oh,
please.
praise be to COVID. Look. If we're vaccinated, we can catch COVID, and then we'll be vectors, and we can go to a school board meeting and cough all over these motherfuckers. Win-win situation for everybody.
I'll get tested daily just in hopes.
Just to know when you
just
get
it. Find out that somebody has it, go and get it, and then go hi, Patty Bounds, you motherfucker, and kiss her on the fucking mouth.
I wonder if the courthouses or the school board where they do it, if they're still separating masked and unmasked people. Before, all the unmasked people had to be upstairs. Once you get COVID, you can just go sit up there with the unmasked people.
Yeah, just go up there and just cough loudly.
You're just start getting antibody tests and create your own fucking.
I'm not going to do any of this.
On.
I'm just going to dream and fantasize about doing it.
No, I'd do it.
You're going to have your own calendar, when you get your antibodies, just when someone's ovulating, the best time to get pregnant. This is the best time to back Republicans
to be.
I think the antibodies don't show up until afterwards. What you need to do is go get tested daily.
It's Fox Die for morons.
Yeah. But yeah, so these cats are running for state boards school boards. I guess they're trying to avoid using the word QAnon, but still espousing those same bullshit ideas.
They have a new word.
No, they're trying to. I guess because they've lost a lot
of
power.
It's all been tainted.
It's lost a lot of power after Trump lost. There's no storm. Nothing happened. Nothing happened on March. Even Margie Taylor fucking Greene.
August 13th, though, man.
No, Margie Taylor Greene even came out on an interview on Steve Bannon's fucking radio show or whatever, saying that, hey, guys, don't get your hopes up. August thing's not going to happen. It's not a real thing. So, it's losing its steam.
My Pillow and Giuliani are still saying
My Pillow and Sidney Powell are still doing it, and so they have their followers. But to hear
Giuliani's losing all of his power, too. He's being banned from being able to practice anything.
It's so good. So speaking of our favorite Congresswoman, Margie Taylor Greene, she made another Nazi reference in regards to the vaccine.
Another fucking one?
Another one. Weeks after apologizing for doing that, Biden they said that they want to have door-to-door vaccine information. Not so much door-to-door, let me stick your arm, but just going around giving information about.
I'm just imagining the scene from Inglourious Bastards where a Democrat comes in your house and is is everyone in your house vaccinated? And all the unvaccinated people are hiding under the floor.
Basically, so she's
they start running and they throw vaccination needles in their arms.
She's like, we don't need the brown shirts coming around where to give us vaccine stuff. I'm like, when are you ever going to stop?
The Democrats came to my house and they held me down and they vaccinated me.
They really don't learn.
She doesn't. And if we're talking about Nazis, the GOP is they're more aligned with the far right Nazi idealists.
Yeah,
they should
at least be using Stalinist references.
But see,
something.
That's
if they want to reach to leftist fascism, they should at least be using their iconographs, not the right's. Call them Stalinists. Come on. Get on it. Here, you can hire me, GOP.
It's projection, though. That's what they do. It's like QAnon, which was so closely mixed in with fucking pedophiles doing a Save the Children. Point the finger at them so that nobody's looking at us. So they call the left Nazis so nobody can see that they're fucking Nazis.
They are. Every time I see any kind of those people, the next thing I see is they're you see the Trump supporters and the Nazi flags in the same fucking area. They 100% are, And you're right, it's projection. But to see that Margie Taylor Greene can't stop fucking up, but at least she did come out and tell these QAnon supporters that, hey, August isn't going to happen. Sorry. Of course, they're going to probably just start calling her a rhino now.
Probably. No, because she's still going to have ridiculous fucking antics.
You don't have anyone else to back now. So.
But, I mean, that's like, I think, to my point earlier, I think that's why they're...
Cawthorn.
Who now?
Cawthorn is still on that little train. I think that's his name, Cawthorn.
I'm really not sure, but...
He's the one, I know he's disabled. And told everybody that he was training to be in the Olympics, and other disabled people, the Special Olympic people who actually train for the Special Olympics came out. Were like, yeah, that's a bunch of bullshit.
He was running for election though, wasn't he?
He's in office.
He's in office.
Yes.
Oh, that's fun. No, but what I was saying earlier to my point earlier, Sam, was that by and large, after Trump's defeat, after nothing happened in March, and now even with this August thing that's losing steam. They don't have the influence that they had at one point. Like they're losing power, and so that's why I think that even though those ideas they want to keep forward, they don't want to use the word or the name QAnon or Q when they're with these plans.
I'm just trying to see how this is all going to feed into Tucker Carlson's presidential run in the next couple years.
I hate you.
Didn't he try to?
He's actually.
Didn't he try to interview Putin?
Yeah, I was just reading a thing. He's actually backed by Russia now too. Like he's the person that Russia's going to put their money behind, like they put their money behind Trump.
Is that why the NSA is spying on Tucker Carlson? Did you see that dumb shit?
That was like I think I actually posted it. He said that after he had met with Putin. Like that was like, oh shit. They might have actually been trying to see what his meeting with Putin was, and then deflected it using that.
Yeah, he's a nut. But
he's
Fox just lets him say whatever he wants.
He's their boy.
Yeah,
and he's smarter and more. He's smarter than Trump. So I think my money's on Tucker Carlson.
My God, imagine 4 years of a president that like makes that confused face all the time.
Oh, that face.
Imagine Trump, but smarter.
Oh, that face! It was so funny. Because you saw that Death to 2020 mockumentary on Netflix?
Yeah.
And so they used this clip from Tucker Carlson, and we're just like, "That's exactly right." And he had that dumb look on his face.
He always show me a clip of Tucker Carlson where he does not look confused.
He
as
always
fuck.
looks confused.
Like,
he does. Like he has like resting confused face. I don't know what it is. So before we get into our ACAB of the week segment, fucking hilarious story out of Knox News where an off-duty police officer was apparently at this wedding reception, apparently drunk as shit, but is saying some really racist comments. He's white, by the way. His name is Tanner.
Holt.
Tanner Holt. That's a white-ass name, too. Tanner Holt. Apparently he was saying to a black man, he didn't even know they let black people into the reception hall, among one of the quotes. And like the dude's like telling him to stop, so black dude just lays him the fuck out. Solid hit to the face, knocks him out.
One hit,
one hit, he's out.
One punch.
And so they've opened an investigation because they say that officers can't behave in an immoral, indecent, lewd, or disorderly manner, even when they're not in uniform.
Okay.
But one of my favorite things, this is from Knox News, one of my favorite fucking quotes on this. Al's actually screen capped this quote because it was so funny. The report noted that all witnesses stated that Holt was very intoxicated when this incident occurred. Officers could not speak to Holt at the time, the report notes, because he was unconscious.
Like as soon as I heard it, it just Friday came to my mind. He got knocked the fuck out.
He did.
It's I like the delay with the comma is there's this kind of emphasis on he was unconscious.
It's so funny, but unfortunately, I think they did charge him with simple assault.
Did they?
Yeah, initially they hadn't charged him, but apparently when I reread a new article today that he was charged. But I'm hoping that
simple assault. I think there's people saying that they'll donate to his legal fund.
Yeah, we need to get his legal fund up there. Cause
that's
he's a hero. You need to punch racists. But
I
racist
saw
are cops. I posted that meme
I
this
saw the
week.
police report for that one, and it was funny because they took the picture of the guy's hands where he had, I guess it was 2 pictures of one hand. And they took a full body picture of him, and the guy's standing with his hands on his hip, looking like I'd fucking do it again. like he doesn't seem upset about what's going on. He's like, "Fuck yeah, I hit him."
News after news after news, week after week, we find out how fucking racist our local PD is. They only hire racists.
So,
you know when the work says you don't fit into the work culture? Well, the work culture is a bunch of racist pieces of shit.
Well, especially here in KPD.
So a few weeks back, we talked about an investigation that was going on with KPD for racism in the workplace, and that they closed that case. Well, and then we get news about this racist cop at the wedding reception, and then today, I believe it broke that the original DeAndre Jackson, who was like the first person to make the complaint
Against the guy named Broom, I think his name was, or something like that.
He started another internal investigations because he said that in the first investigation, 2 of them lied. So now he's...
No, 3. He said all 3. He said the lieutenant, the captain, and one other said that they had misled the internal investigators, and so they reopened that shit right back up. And it's so funny because what infuriated me the most is even if they learned that after the initial one where they didn't address any of his complaints regarding racism within KPD, all they did was move those 2 supervisors into another kind of department, so they're not over.
That's what they
Jackson.
do.
That's what they do.
Yeah. They do that.
It's like of course, no action, just move them, so it's not a problem for him anymore, but keep them employed.
It's like if you're a pedophile, you join the Catholic Church. If you're a racist, you join the police force. It's just what you do.
Yep.
The chief's name is Eve Thomas.
Eve Thomas.
Eve Thomas. So the mayor, the city mayor, just says she has no faith in Eve Thomas at this point regarding the.
What are you talking about? She licks fucking Eve's boots all day long.
Well, according to the quote that I saw today regarding the ongoings of the KPD, she says she doesn't have trust in Eve Thomas to handle the situation.
I think she's just realizing that her approval ratings are going down because of her support.
Not Qanon. Or actually, it's not been mayor. I'm not sure who it was. I'll have to look it up.
I was about to say
it wasn't Qanon.
There's no way that Glenn Jacobs talked shit.
No, it wasn't Glenn Jacobs. It was a person of color that's in the leadership position in Knoxville. I thought it said mayor, but then I realized who it was.
No, it's probably what's her name? Amelia Parker.
Is she Knoxville?
City Council? Yeah.
It may have been
City Council. Our mayor is wrestle libertarian dipshit and the Queen of Karens. Like, that's who runs Knoxville.
Amelia Parker's usually the one coming out saying stuff like that. She's fucking amazing.
Yeah, so, but yeah, KPD, of course, is racist as fuck.
If you see a KPD officer...
you know what?
Just know they're a racist piece of shit. It's legal to flip them off to their face. Just letting you know.
It's Gwen somebody. So we just looked it up. It was not Amelia Parker. It was the vice mayor, Gwen McKenzie. Okay. She did say she had no confidence in the leadership, which, a lot of us don't.
I know you've confronted Eve Thomas before,
yeah,
and that was a shit show of an interview.
Yeah, Eve Thomas, another interview recently after the investigation for racism, she did this interview with Knox News Sentinel, I believe, and she handled it exactly how she handled that time when she was confronted by protesters asking her questions. She wouldn't answer the question. She kept beating around the bush. One of the questions asked was about Broom and the other fucking captains or whatever, and if they actually followed through and checked what they said. They're like, they said they don't remember being in a room or something like that. It was something little like that, even though other officers said they were, and they're like, well, he said he didn't remember. It's like, and that was enough for you? That's all he had to do, and she kept trying to avoid that, and, we did an investigation, but, and that's, I think, why this new case was opened, is probably because Eve went public trying to cover shit up. And now they're like, no, you need to investigate this more.
Yeah, so I'm going to actually quote Knox News here on that because this is, again, just Eve Thomas is being a shithead. So after in an interview with Knox News, apparently Thomas had no answer when asked repeatedly whether Miller was in the meeting with Jackson, even offering Miller's excuse that it's possible he simply couldn't remember. When challenged about the credibility of forgetting that sort of encounter, Thomas replied, yeah, I know. Again, what we do is we work to be better. I go by their statements and we have a truthfulness policy, and we work to be better. Like,
she's fucking trash.
Yeah,
she's trash.
Absolute trash.
She needs to fucking go. This year has highlighted so much that is wrong with her. Fuck her. Fuck her so much.
So the department's code of conduct has a truthfulness policy that requires that no employee shall knowingly be untruthful in the general conduct of police department business to include, but not limited to, relations with peers, subordinates, supervisors, or the public, except as necessary in the course of conducting the investigation. A violation of violating that policy is a Class A violation, the highest, and the resulting disciplinary action can range up to and including termination. But
it doesn't.
We investigated ourselves and found ourselves with no wrongdoing. Is
right.
Essentially, what's going to go on, what goes on typically.
Well, I mean, the thing is that once it becomes an internal investigation, the community board can get involved. The accountability board, I don't even know what it's called, Police Accountability Commission or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, I mean, that's who we need more and more cases going to.
It's an appropriate shirt you're wearing. Fuck KPD.
Yes.
So, I like the new one there, nice and
Fuck
red.
those bastards. Yeah, yellow's not my color. They finally got the black and red version of it.
Good shit. All right, so I guess before we wrap up, let's do some ACAB of the week.
Go ahead.
Yeah, this is ACAB of the week.
All right, this week we have out of Arlington, Texas, a man's family called 911 because he was suicidal. He had doused himself in gasoline and was threatening to blow himself up along with his house. What happened is the police showed up instead of mental health people who could talk this man down. And their response to this man threatening to set himself on fire was to tase him.
Yeah, the other officers warned him, warned the officer with the taser not to do that. They warned him not to tase him.
Well, they had just gone through a training over the flammability of tasers, and they learned that if something's covered in gas, then a taser can start a fire. So they tased him, and as expected, he caught on fire. He ran into the house, and they literally helped him do what he had planned to do instead of stopping it. And so
not only caused his death, but also endangered the lives of the other people in the house because the house burnt the fuck down.
Right.
Because he was he was an accelerant at that point.
Yeah.
A mobile accelerant that they set on fire because
and
we don't have.
If you're on fire, you're running. You're not going to stand still and do it. No, most people, when they're on fire, they're moving around.
They're flailing about. Yeah, so obviously, that's why we don't need cops, well, period. But in situations like that, especially, that's why I think that the program in Denver is really good. But they show up and then just, again, trigger happy. I mean, why even tase the man?
Well, this has been bouncing around courts for a while.
It has. It was originally an incident occurred in 2017.
Yeah, and so it went to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit this week, and they affirmed immunity for the two officers because they apparently didn't know that could have happened, even though they had already gone through training, just I think it said weeks before.
Yeah, this is the major problem with qualified immunity is that it gives passes to egregious behavior, absolutely egregious behavior by the police. I mean, they called the police to save this, or they called the authorities or emergency services to save this man's life, and they just helped him commit suicide faster. and they were granted the officer that tased him was granted immunity. Every one of them. So they won't be party to that suit. I'm sure the city will still end up paying millions.
Of course, absolutely.
But, as it always does, we talked about this before. It's probably the third or fourth time because it keeps happening where officers are engaged in these fucking awful acts. They're granted immunity. The city has to pay for it,
and
but they do not personally.
Doesn't that connection mean that the police are the city? Like, the bastards are the city?
In these cases, for like George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, this family, they're not doing this for money. They're not suing for the money. They're suing for some kind of justice. And when you let the officer that's responsible for the death of your family member skate off without any consequences, that's not justice. You can pay millions of fucking dollars, but as long as that person who killed their loved one is out roaming the street with no fucking consequences, that's not fucking justice.
Exactly. No, I agree with you 100%. Now, we didn't record last week because my fault, but we didn't talk about Derek Chauvin getting 25 years at sentencing, which 22 and a half.
That actually, it wasn't enough, but it was definitely more than I expected.
Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping he gets stabbed or maybe he kills himself. So
I hope they don't keep. Well, you know what? If he's in fucking solitary confinement,
that's
it's
more
basically
punishment than anything.
Yeah, protective custody. That's basically what it is solitary confinement. So fucking 22 years of that.
Not gonna hurt my feelings at all if that happened. But he's an outlier. And only because cities fucking burned across America is the only reason that he even got arrested.
Yeah.
And so he's an outlier. He's not the new normal. He's an outlier.
I've been seeing a good meme that's like, no, the courts didn't serve justice here. The only reason he was held accountable at all was because of a teenager with a camera.
And
whole fucking world.
Speaking of that teenager, her uncle.
The cops killed her uncle in it was a high-speed chase, and they, I guess, hit him and ran him off the road and killed him.
So, I'm sure she's even saltier now. Jesus Christ.
She's salty as fuck right now.
I mean, you've got to be just ultimately pissed off, not only that you were instrumental in, you had to sit there the whole time watching a man die at the hands of the police, hearing him beg for his life, and then your camera footage being pivotal in not only the case, but them even being charged in the first place, and getting the outrage in America. Because had we not seen that
video sparked the largest civil rights protest in all of history.
Absolutely. And if that didn't happen, that wouldn't have happened. That city may have protested, but not nation fucking wide.
No.
And then it still took 3 or 4 fucking days. Even worldwide, there was protests in fucking London, in the UK and shit like that for police brutality against the black population. Any population really. Police,
right.
And that's where we saw the police being even more brutal during those fucking protests. Then we've talked about that before. But she was absolutely instrumental. And then, unfortunately, her uncle was killed recently in that. I'm sure I don't know really a whole lot of details about that other than that he was died. He was just there. Like, he wasn't the person running from the police. And we have another ACAB. This one's also very depressing. This one here is in Nashville.
So, yeah, this one's really fucking sad. It's really fucked up. So, Derek Hambrick was killed a while back by an officer named Delkey. All the lawyers involved, the DA and Delkey's lawyer, all sat down, and they came up with a plea deal for him to serve 3 years. The issue with this, and which is very fucking uncommon, is they did not go to Hambrick's family and talk to him about this plea deal first. Usually families weigh in on plea deal, and, if a family objects to something, it doesn't go through. They weren't even consulted. They found out the same way everybody else found out about this plea deal, with an article going out saying that he planned to accept a plea deal.
This thing is absolutely, unequivocally a victory for the defense. He was facing life in prison 51 years in jail, and the fact that it's now come down to a sentence of 3 years, of which he is eligible for parole after a service of 15 months.
Well, there's a lot of things. Like, likely if it went to jury, there was a possibility of him getting off with nothing.
Sam, you've seen Law Abiding Citizen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I also know the horrible ending that was changed and made Jamie Foxx walk off set.
Yeah, I thought Jamie Foxx was the one who wanted that ending.
He wanted the ending that happened. The story behind that ending was the bad guy was supposed to win. On the day of the shoot, Jamie Foxx said that he would leave if his character didn't win, and they bowed down to him and changed the ending and ruined the movie.
So the reason why I bring this story up, I don't know if you've seen this movie, Al, but essentially this man's family is killed, and there's some circumstantial evidence, and his attorney creates a plea deal for him to get one of the murderers off. And, of course, that pisses him off, so he goes fucking rogue and just tears down the system. Yeah, but the reason I brought that movie up was because it was the same thing. Like, they didn't really give him an option on give him this plea deal, and that guy walked like he was out. And same kind of thing here. That's what immediately brought up this kind of thing where the family, is just faced with horrible injustice because they didn't want. And the reason why, now I brought it up because in there he says, if you would have took it to court and we lost, I could have been okay with that. You would have tried, I could have been okay with that. And the fact that this attorney didn't even go to the family to even discuss the plea deal, that's what kind of drew parallels to that movie in real life here. And it's just kind of a fucked up situation because this man's going to be out in 15 months on parole.
So, yeah, during the hearing, though, they allowed time for, of course, the victim's family to speak. Hambrick's mother is legally blind, so she had a written statement that was read by the family's lawyer. Calm, collected, but then they let her actually speak from the heart for a while. And she lost it. It was like, I was tearing up watching it. It was just raw fucking emotion. She looked at all of them. She's like, I hate you. I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. And it got to the point where she knocked the podium down and went after the DA. You see white men running out of that courtroom as quick as they can, just a panic look on people's faces. And it turned into everybody who was there to support the Hambrick family. Like, it was like a protest in the courtroom, just pure chaos. And I mean, her statement, they were begging. The judge could have said no to the plea deal. He could have objected and said, no, I'm not signing this. But after everybody left the courtroom, he signed it.
Yeah, and I don't even know too much about the original charge. I know that he was, I guess it was during a foot chase.
Yeah, so he's running away. Hambrick's running from the cops.
Which, again, by the way, is still not running from the police is not a death sentence.
It's not. So Delkey stopped running and just started firing, and he said it was because Hambrick turned around and pointed a gun at him, but all the footage shows that did not happen.
Well, that's unfortunate and that's depressing. I feel for the family. The settlement that was the city had to pay is not enough for what that family had to endure. But what's going to be more painful to them is that they know that in 15 months, the motherfucker that shot and killed their family member is going to be on the streets. Mm-hmm. ACAB.
And his speech was interesting.
Delkey's?
Yeah. He made a speech, but he admitted what he did was wrong. I have to give the man that. He's like, what I did was wrong, and what I hope is that this situation brings about change and training in the police department. So he pretty much admitted in court that he wasn't trained properly. He advocated for more training for officers, but it's still who knows if he meant what he said, but he did go forward. He didn't, try to placate anything he did. He said pretty much, I fucked up, and I'm accepting this because I fucked up. But of course, he's accepting it because it's 3 years versus life.
Yeah, 51 years.
51. Mm-hmm. Life.
Yeah, that would be a life sentence. So before we wrap up, I I want to sandwich the show with another Trump story. Did you see? Of course, you shared the story that Trump rally and that group that flew the airplane with a big ass scrolling marquee #LoserPalooza.
Yes,
that flew it around. That was fucking genius level trolling around there.
I like that one. But before we go completely, did you see that a judge ruled that the Air Force is responsible for the 2006 or 2017 shooting?
It was a church shooting, right? A church mass shooting. I didn't see the details on that. I'd seen the headlines on another thing, but there was a lot of things flying across my desk that day, so I didn't really get into that. So
it ruled that.
I mean, how is the Air Force involved in a mass shooting?
So it's Devin Patrick Kelly was the one who committed the killing. He killed 26 people and wanted 22 others when he opened fire. Was this in Texas? The First Baptist Church.
Okay.
But he had prior issues in the military that would prevent him from owning a gun. But the military did not report those issues to the government to insert him in like an NCIS database as not being allowed to have a gun. So in the days prior to the shooting, he was able to go out and buy all these guns and ammo without any issue when he, if the Air Force had done what they were supposed to do and reported these issues with him in the past, he would have been blocked. And that would have possibly saved 26 lives and, prevented 22 other injuries.
But does a judge ruling that the Air Force is mostly responsible even mean anything? Do we know what that...
It'll invoke change in the system, I would think, and how the Air Force does things. I'm sure there's some kind of penalty for the Air Force, I would think.
Well, it could also be if there's civil suits, if they ruled that the U.S. government was responsible. They said he was. It's funny because they said that Kelly, the actual shooter, was 40% responsible, but the U.S. government was 60% responsible. So I guess in a civil case, I guess that may determine monetary damages. I'm not sure how that would play out, but that's
those families can now sue and get the money from the shit. I'm okay with military money going to families.
Yeah.
Does that be 48 families that could recover some money? 26 that were killed, 22 that were injured.
Yeah. All right, well, that's going to wrap up episode 22 of Apostates on the Fringe. Thank you all again for joining us this week. As always, find us on social media, and if you would like links to the articles or contact the show, visit us at apostatepod.com. As a reminder, please continue to share out the show and leave us a 5-star review everywhere you can, and we will see you all next week.
Thank you all very much.
Apostates on the Fringe. Apostates on the Fringe.
The views and opinions of the hosts of Apostates on the Fringe do not represent the views and opinions of the Atheist Society of Knoxville. For links to all our musical contributors, go to apostatepod.com and check the About Us page. A big thank you to Michael Scott Arden, who allows the show to use his full catalog.